Hi, my name is Pam, and this is the first series, the first video of Ifintu ni Zambia. Ifintu ni Zambia is a broadcast that is going to be airing hopefully every week. I'm saying hopefully because I will need material from you guys. On this program, we're going to be discussing the things that are plaguing Zambia as a nation. You know, I just came back from Zambia last week, and what I saw there has made me this time decide, I'm going to say something, and hopefully some people will be ignited enough to do something about it. I don't live in Zambia, but if we put our heads together, we can stand up and raise Zambia up again to its former glory before it becomes like Zimbabwe, because it is going to become like Zimbabwe if we do nothing about it. I haven't lived in Zambia for about 30 years. I left Zambia when I was a teenager, and every time I come back, I'm just shocked at what's happening in Zambia, or how the country is slowly but surely going back into the dark ages. You know, you guys are sitting in Zambia. You do not see what is going on. The reason I have put the title Zambia is in hot water is because when you are in the middle of something, you don't really know the impact and the severity of what you are going through. It's only people on the outside who can see how bad it really is. It's the same with when you are in a marriage and one is abusive. You don't realize just how abusive it is, because the person usually doesn't just start with doesn't start big. Usually they start with just a slap and you forgive them. Then they go a little bit. Next time they even kick you and you forgive them. And next time they punch you and break your nose and you forgive them. Then it becomes full blown. But you adapted slowly to the abuse. But somebody who comes from outside and sees this, who was not in the process of adapting, the adapting process, is shocked that you can actually even put up with such craziness. It's the same with what is happening in Zambia. That is why I'm calling it Zambia in boiling hot water, because I'm going to teach you. I don't know if you know how you boil a frog. Ukwipika kawombwe. A lot of people say if you can just catch a frog and throw it in hot water, yes you can, but guess what? The frog is going to leap out. How you boil a frog is you take cold water, you take a frog and you put that frog in the water, and then you start heating the temperature, raising the temperature bit by bit. When the temperature goes to a certain level and the frog is feeling uncomfortable, it just moves to one side of the pot where it's not very hot. When that side, the temperature becomes not comfortable, that it moves to another part. It doesn't even think of jumping out. It starts adapting to the temperature. It's just moving and adapting. It doesn't realize that the temperature naifika more than 100, and before the frog knows it, it's dead. That's how you boil a frog, and that is exactly what is happening to Zambia. You guys have been adapting to the level of craziness in Zambia, the level of just mismanagement, that you don't realize just how bad it is unless somebody from externally comes in. They're like, wow, how can these people just sit here and let so you need to do something about it, because Zambia is really gone back into the dark ages. I remember the 70s when I was growing up. We used to go to queue up to get salt or cooking oil or washing powder. When you just heard that a truck had passed here to ZCBC, and guess what? Nobody actually even really used to manage to buy anything, because by the time you even got halfway in the queue, it was finished. And that time, the most affluent and well-paid people, they weren't even well-paid. They were just very corrupt. If you worked for ZCBC, you were the man. Working for ZCBC that time was was like being a policeman now. They were so corrupt. What happened was when deliveries were made at ZCBC, they would buy half the stock, the personnel in there, and sell it on the black market. So it was tough times in the 70s. And then we saw good times in the 80s and the 90s. And now it is just going, I don't know where. It's really terrible. The corruption is horrible. The mismanagement of funds is horrible. I mean, let's just look at the load shedding, whatever that is. I mean, I was in Lusaka. I traveled from Mukushi from my grandmother's funeral up to Lusaka, and I stopped at 3 filling stations looking for soft drinks and water. We go to another one. We have no electricity, and we have no soft drinks. We stop at a Debonair's. No, we can't give you that pizza because we have no olives. No, that pizza, you can't eat it because we have no cheese. This is your only choice. You can choose from these 3 pizzas. And I was like, what? How has this country gone so backwards? And nobody is doing anything about it. The thing is that I have spoken to many intelligent people in Zambia, many people who are capable of running that country and bringing it back from its brim. I mean, bringing it back from the dark ages and catching up with the rest of the world. You know that we have countries at the moment that are sending robots to Mars. It's outrageous. I was in Lusaka for 2 days before I flew out. I couldn't iron my dress. I was wearing the same clothes for 2 days. I was staying in Kablonga, the most affluent place. I couldn't iron my clothes. I couldn't even have a shower. The time the water came and the electricity, I was sleeping. When I woke up, there was no water. There was no electricity. It's just too crazy for words, and we need to do something about it. There are a lot of capable people in Zambia who can resurrect the economy of the nation, who can resurrect there isn't even any morale anymore. People are just like beat, like, oh, they've given up. But don't give up. Don't give up. Really, there is enough people in Zambia who can bring Zambia back to its former glory. And I mean it, because the problem is that a lot of intelligent people in Zambia are spectators. They're all expecting somebody else to fix it. Well, guess what? Somebody else is not going to come and fix it. You have to fix it yourself. And the root cause of all this, I've noticed, is a lack of patriotism. In Zambia, we are not patriotic. We don't have that sense of pride to fight for our country. The first thing we need to do is we need to raise up a generation of Mandelas. We need to raise up a generation of Kenneth Kaundas and Kwame Nkrumah. But the way I have seen Zambians raising their children now was also another shocking factor. They are children. There is a new generation who are parenting Zambian children who never left Zambia, who cannot speak any vernacular language. They can speak Nyanja, they can speak Pemba, they can speak Tonga, they can speak Lozi. They only speak English. And the parents are so proud. Yeah, this one only speaks English. You go to this other home. Oh, this one, she can't understand if you speak Bemba. Just speak English to her. She doesn't even eat in Shima. How can you be patriotic for a country whose language you cannot speak, for a country whose food you do not even like? You've raised kids who do not have the full picture. To be patriotic, you need to love everything about that country, and it starts with the culture, the traditions, the language, the food. You have to be proud of every aspect of that country. If your child was only born and bred in Kitwe, Ndola, Lusaka, Mufulira, and they've never left that city, they don't have the full picture of the country. How can you say I love Zambia? You don't even really know what Zambia is. Lusaka is not Zambia. There is more to Zambia than just Kitwe. We need to raise up children that are hungry and fiery for their country and ready to sacrifice. Maybe it's a bit too late for us, for this generation, but surely the next generation can change the tide, the course of this chaos, honestly, And while there are many, I'm sure there are many reasons, but this for sure is a problem that is going to spill into the next generation and needs an awakening with a fiery love for their own culture. We need to have children who have a fiery love for their own culture and traditions. Without this, we are going to continue producing leaders who just want to line their pockets. And I mean, let's face it, most politicians are corrupt. But if you find a leader who is corrupt and is also patriotic, I'm sure, I tell you, they will, all politicians are like that, they will take some money, but they will also have their eye on developing that motherland. They will have an eye on developing that country. I tell you, when you hear Trump saying, let's make America great again. I mean, Trump is not perfect, but I can assure you of one thing. Trump wants to make that country the greatest nation in the world, and he will do anything. I'm sure he will even pump in his own money to make sure that America is great again. We need to raise up leaders who can speak the language, who love the food of the nation, who love the country, who've been to the village. You guys are growing up in an era where your parents are also still living in the cities. When I was growing up, Kaunda was encouraging people to go back to the land. So we had no choice. I mean, during the holidays, we went to our grandparents. So I know Zambia, most of Zambia, and my children were all born in Europe. And I tell you, when I come to Zambia, my children don't only stay in Pamozi Hotel. Some people come to visit us in Lusaka when we're in Pamozi Hotel, but my kids don't just stay in Pamozi Hotel. They go to the village also. They go and run with the chickens and the cows and sleep on the floor, and they experience the whole package, and they love it. They think they're camping, actually. They're absolutely loving. We're coming in December, and they can't wait to go to the village. And I'm going to start teaching my children how to speak proper Bemba. My girls, my girls speak French, English, and Dutch because we lived in Holland. We were living there. They had to learn the Dutch language also. They were speaking English also. You need to wake up, parents. You need to wake up. I'm going to tell you something. Wututu, elo wusushi, elo wusha. That is slave mentality. We fought so hard to become independent, and now you have incorporated a slave mentality in your children. Because someone when Mzungu sha chocolate Mzungu, nangum Chinese, and that's how they sha chocolate Chinese. That's why these nations are so great. Wake up, people. Send me material, subscribe to this channel. Let's keep this channel going. If there are any topics that you want me to discuss, send me material and we'll discuss them on this channel. Ifintu ni Zambia. Ifintu telungu.